Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on, people? What is going on? Welcome back to Big B Daily Show, man. My name Brien Hanley, otherwise known as Big B. What is going on, people? We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. What is going on? What is going on? Weird Monday Night Football last night. Weird Monday Night Football game. Another weird little ceremony going out there in Los Angeles. And then, as always, that we do on every Tuesday, we got the fraud of the week coming up. We'll get a little interactive with that. So I appreciate everybody being here today. As always, man, if you're on YouTube and you're subscribed, anything, we are accepting the donations, man, on Super Chats. Anything you want to send over to help support the channel, we appreciate it. As you know, question always goes up to the top and gets read immediately. So we appreciate anything there. And over on TikTok, man, anything that you send over as far as a gift, we appreciate any of that. All of it goes to help support the channel, man. So we appreciate that. And keep tapping that screen on TikTok. Anybody that's over here, please give me a follow if you are not already following. We appreciate that, man. So let's get into it. Let's get into this. The Eagles are completely falling apart. The Eagles have fallen completely apart. They've lost 3 in a row. They don't know what's going on. The Eagles have just fallen completely apart. I don't know what even to say. I mean, they were 10-1, and they just can't win a football game right now. They just cannot win a football game. They can no longer run the football, which was their calling card. They can't run the football. And if they can't run the football, Jalen Hurts is not good enough of just a passer to just drop back 45 times a game and beat you like that. He can't do that. And they're just not scoring enough points. And they let Seattle hang around, and then at the end of the game, they beat them. I mean, whew. I would suspect that the Eagles get back on track because their schedule lightens up here. They got the Giants, Cardinals, and then Giants. If they can't win at least 2 of these games, then they're going to be a first-round exit. They might be a first-round exit in the playoffs anyway. But if they can't win 2 of the next 3 games, which they should win all 3, if they don't win at least 2, we can't take them serious. I'm not sure I can take them serious anyway. There's a problem. My man Golf Hawk on YouTube is saying the Eagles are leaking transmission fluid right now. Yeah, they're leaking, man. It's a problem. They are a problem. So, and then my man Joe's talking about Pete Carroll, said this might be his last year as a head coach, and he's lost control of the locker room. I don't see that in Seattle. That didn't look like a team that had lost control of a locker room. That didn't look like that at all. They looked like a team that was going to fight till the final whistle. And they did, and they won. Yeah, I wouldn't believe any part of that, Joe. I wouldn't believe any of that. That's not teams that have lost the locker room or are no longer buying into what the coach has to say. They don't fight like Seattle fought last night. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it at all. So, my man Mario, I think Jalen Hurts really ain't that guy. He got outperformed by a backup quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts is hurt, number one. Let's just be honest. Jalen Hurts is hurt. But again, his game is not predicated on dropping back 45 times to try to beat you. That's not going to be what he does. At least not right now. So, and we're not going to say he's not that guy. He was in the MVP race until about 2 weeks ago. So let's not be silly. So, my man Carla, Bang Bang Niner Gang, We can get into all that. We can get all that. Yeah, that's perfect, Julius. A Chargers locker room is the one that's in shambles. A Steelers locker room is one that's in shambles. Not a Seattle not this Seattle locker room anyway. Yeah, people aren't fighting like that to win if your locker room is in shambles. So, yes, and that's another point. Jalen Hurts supposedly had the flu. They said he was sick all week. He traveled separately from the team. Flu, COVID, whatever he had. You can lay some of that on that. Okay. But bottom line is they can't run the football, and that don't have nothing to do with Jalen Hurts other than, design quarterback runs and stuff like that. They haven't been able to run the football in a month. The Eagles are in trouble. So we'll see what happens, but I just think they're in trouble. Let's move on, people. Let's move on. So the Lakers locker room. Let's talk about that for a second. The Lakers hung that in-season banner last night, and I'm just laughing. Look, somebody pointed out that they think that Adam Silver must have made them hang it because he wants to get more attention on it to make it bigger. And that very well could be true. And I hope that it is, because if not, God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant's rolling over in his grave right now. Kobe Bryant is rolling over in he's not rolling over. He just rolled over. That's it. He's not looking. It's just disgraceful on what is going on. It's just disgraceful that they would hang a banner. Look, I was on record. I loved what the in-season tournament was about. I thought it was great. Guys were playing hard in November and December. We hadn't seen guys playing this hard in forever. And not this early in the season. But to hang a banner? Come on, man. What are we doing? And LeBron, I don't blame him for hanging the banner or anything like that, although he might have something to do with it. I don't blame him. And people that are going to blame him are just stupid. But what I do blame LeBron for not doing is saying, and all he had to do is say this: this doesn't replace an NBA championship and doesn't compare to an NBA championship. That's all he had to say. He hasn't said that once. Now, does he believe it? No. And I know he's trying to build it up, but come on, people, let's be serious. It's an in-season tournament. No. I'd be more willing if they handed out the cash to all the players on the court. I would like if they just did that, handed everybody on the team a big check versus hanging a damn banner. Oh my God. That's what they should have done. Everybody should have got a check. Because that's what they were playing for. That's what they kept saying. That's what they should have done. So, And somebody on TikTok, my man Julius, look at the teams the Lakers beat to win it. Like, seriously, it's trash. Well, here's the thing, Julius. You can't blame the Lakers for who they beat to win it, because everybody had an opportunity to win it. That's like saying if you win the NCAA tournament, but you only played against 8 and 9 seeds the whole way, that, well, it's trash because they only played against 8 and 9 seeds. Everybody had their opportunity. So I don't blame the Lakers for that. You can't blame them for that. Everybody could have won it. Everybody could have been in it. I get what you're saying, and I don't even disagree with it, but you can't blame them and say that, oh, well, it's trash because of who they got to play. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. So, I'm picking up though, Julius. Don't worry, brother. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I am picking up what you are putting down, brother. I get it. I get it. So Magic's still alive, and I don't know. Magic is not happy. Magic hadn't said anything, but Magic is not happy. So it's just ridiculous what the Lakers are doing. It's just, I know Dr. Buss. You want to talk about somebody rolling over his grave? Dr. Buss. He ain't happy about this either. God rest his soul. God rest his soul. So, anyway, let's move on, people. Let's move on. Man, Golf Hawk said they are the champs. Why not acknowledge the achievement, especially the way they came back to win it? The Lakers needed this for their year. And then they went out and lost 3 of the next 4 games. Come on, Golf Hawk. You're better than that. Acknowledge that they won. They did acknowledge that they win. They gave them a trophy. They gave everybody a check. They gave them cash. That's all you need to acknowledge. That's all that needs to be acknowledged. Nothing else. Nothing else. So, and you're right. Seeing the CAD, that's what they should have done. They should have just brought a dump truck out and just dropped it in the middle of the floor and just dumped all the cash in the middle of the floor. Now, it would have caused some problems because you're going to get some people running out there to steal the cash, but it is what it is. Now, that would have been exciting. How many people could actually get to the cash before security got a hold of them? That would have been exciting. Not hanging a damn banner. So, and I apologize, David. I thought you were talking about Magic Johnson and not the actual Magic. The Magic are playing good basketball right now. The Orlando Magic are playing good basketball right now. Yes, they are. And you know who else is playing good basketball? Here's the thing. This is why, a lot of people don't pay attention to the NBA before Christmas. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Who would have thought Minnesota would be leading the West? Nobody. But I'm starting to pay attention. I usually don't pay attention to the NBA until after Christmas, middle of January. I'm paying attention right now. And somebody said OKC. Who was that? OKC is daggone playing well. The Clippers have won a ton of games in a row. It looks like they may have figured it out. Westbrook's only playing like 15, 18 minutes a night. He's sacrificing. So, Tims are going to choke in the playoffs. Yeah, you're probably right, brother. You're probably right. So, the Knicks still selling out. The Knicks are always going to sell out, man. And the Knicks are still pretty good. They're not great. They're pretty good. So, and that's the thing. I haven't been a big time NBA guy. I like college basketball more than the NBA, even though I know the NBA is much, much better basketball. Don't beat my head in. Don't crush me. I get it. The NBA is much better basketball than college basketball. Just the shot making alone makes it better. I just like college basketball. That's all. But I'm into NBA. I'm getting into it more this year. I'm getting into it more. Earlier, I should say. Not more, just earlier. So, fraud of the week, Julius, we can't do the Pistons, man. We can't, or the Pistons coach, Monty Williams. Monty Williams, and while we're going to move on to fraud of the week, here's my thing about Monty Williams. I think Monty Williams just took the job because everybody said he should take the job. I don't think Monty Williams I don't think he wanted the job, but I think the Pistons offered him so much money that he had to take the job. And so he took it. I don't think he wants it. I don't think he wants it at all. So It's just crazy. But the Pistons are so bad. Oh, my God. The Pistons are so bad. Terrible. But let's get to it, man. Fraud of the week. Now, earlier I had said that I didn't think that anybody could beat the Cowboys for fraud of the week. Then the Eagles played. Fraud of the week. Then we saw a Lakers hanging an in-season tournament banner. Fraud of the week. So I'm going to let you guys decide, as we always do. Y'all let me know, who's the fraud of the week? Out of those, only those three, unless y'all have somebody better. And again, let me give the criteria for this, people. Fraud of the week has got to be somebody that we think is good that literally pissed down their leg this week. And while the Lakers didn't necessarily have a game, I mean, they did, hanging a banner for an in-season tournament, to me, and then you go out and lose 3 of the next 4 games after said win, that makes you a fraud of the week for me. So who do we got? TikTok, YouTube, who do we got? I see nothing but Cowboys so far. There's a couple Eagles. The Dallas defense. There's some Philly. I still think it's Dallas so far. I still think it is. So. Ooh, Joe, we're going to get to what you just said. Once we pick this fraud of the week, we got our man CJ standing by, but I will absolutely read what you said, Joe. That is a great point over on YouTube, man. The Spurs, Detroit Pistons. Again, man, nobody thinks the Spurs are good. I get what you're saying, but nobody thinks the Spurs are good. We're going to shut it down. Fraud of the week, the Dallas Cowboys. I could have said Dak. I could have said Dallas's run defense. But the Dallas Cowboys in general are the fraud of the week. Nobody could see. First of all, nobody saw that performance coming after the way they had played. And then for you to just get physically dominated like that, fraud of the week is the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't even think it's close. I don't think it's close. I really, really don't. So, yes, there it is, Golf Hawk. Over on YouTube, my man Golf Hawk always comes through. He said the Cowboys, they didn't even put up a fight. They gave up the goody, pause. But yeah, they didn't even put up a fight. No fight whatsoever. Just laid down. But here's my man Joe. And y'all pay attention to what he said. He says, I won't pick a fraud of the week, but a hero of the week is Chip Kelly for speaking out on the college football playoff and what should be done about college sports. Did anybody happen to hear what Chip Kelly said? Because Chip Kelly is 1,000% correct. He said that you have to separate all of these college sports, separate football from all of it. They need to be in their own entity. Pay the players because they are the product. And the product of anything else, especially that's garnering this type of money, should get paid. And that's a travesty. You got to separate football from everything and start playing instead of divisions. Okay, I'm a UCLA. I'm going to play 6 games against the Midwest teams this year. The next year, I'm going to play 6 games against the East Coast teams. Then the next year, 6 games against the South. And we don't need to have conferences. I think he's 100% correct. I'd never heard that before. Chip Kelly's right. He's right. And yeah, people saying Chip Kelly is real. He is. And he is 1,000% correct. That's exactly how it has to be done. So, for credibility purposes, it's exactly how it has to be done. All right, man. Our guy CJ is in, and we're going to bring him on. Going to break down some of these quarterbacks and see what is going on here. So, CJ, what is going on, my man?
I'm doing all right on this end, Big B. How are you doing?
I am doing all right. Thank you for asking. And again, thanks for coming on. So let's talk about it. We talked about it earlier. Jalen Hurts, sick. Okay, I'll give him that. But the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is not a guy that's going to drop back 45 times and beat you. If you're going to make him do that, more times than not, the Eagles are getting beat. Talk to us a little bit about Jalen Hurts' game right now. Other than he's sick and I think he's hurt, what's going on with his play in Philadelphia?
I'm going to say something about someone who he seems to be close with. I think there's too much placation in that offense.
Yes, offensive
some whining
coordinator.
by some of the receivers. And to be honest, it's one receiver. The other one doesn't open his mouth. He just goes out and plays ball. But sometimes you just got to be quiet and go play a little different style of ball. And it seems like they've been so ready to try to make sure everyone's happy that they've lost their identity, which their identity was, we don't care if you're happy. We care about bludgeoning people and making sure that they feel us. And I don't see that this year out of that offense.
Yeah. That's what I mentioned earlier. I'm like, the Eagles can't run the football. And the Eagles can't run the football. They're not going to be as effective. And look, Jalen Hurts is just not that guy right now. If you drop back 45 times, he's not beating you that way. And they shouldn't even want to play that way. They shouldn't want to play that way. So let's move on, man. Dak Prescott, bad game. I don't know if it was so much Dak as they couldn't protect. Guys weren't getting open. They just had a bad game plan against the Bills, and the defense didn't stop anybody. I wasn't a guy that thought Dak Prescott was just horrible against the Bills. I just thought they got physically whipped, and it started up front.
Yeah, I'm going to actually remove Dak from this game, not because he played a good game or even well. He just came far from playing poorly. He was definitely not the problem. If you want to be serious about what the Cowboys did this week, yeah, they got whipped up front. I've never seen a team that matched up so well, dominating the middle of the field with the tight ends against a team that can't defend against tight ends, dominating with a top 5 number 2 receiver in Brandon Cooks against a team that's the worst in the NFL against number 2 receivers. It looked like the Cowboys tried to lose on purpose. And I hate to say that, but when you have multiple personal fouls that make no sense, DeMarcus Lawrence, what were you doing? Yeah. You had him stopped. Zach Martin, it was already taken care of. There was a flag on the field already. You negated it. Then, hey, how about blocking the punt instead of running through the punter? It looked like the Dallas Cowboys tried nothing. But back to the quarterback specifically, the fun part about that game is Dak proved to me that Dak still doesn't care because Dak didn't play poorly. Dak didn't make mistakes. Dak just tried. No one was open, to be honest.
Nobody was open. Yeah, that was a bad game. I think it was a bad game plan, CJ, to be honest with you. I just thought it was a bad game plan and how they were trying to attack Buffalo. It literally didn't make sense. Just didn't make sense. So let's move on. We know Brock Purdy, what he did, but Brock Purdy, while he had 4 touchdowns this week, I think we're kind of in line together. I think that it was CMC that kind of made that off. It's going to make the offense go because if you eliminate him, I don't know how good they are. But Purdy still playing well. Do you think they're going to – because Dak's not winning the MVP, not after that performance. You think they're going to give it to Purdy?
I don't even have the numbers on this one, but I'm going to say this. If you stack up Purdy's numbers just from an efficiency standpoint, what he's done, resume, he's probably number 3 in the last 20 years. His numbers are exceptional. He almost has an 80 QBR. Do we think Purdy's the best player on that offense? No. We know that CMC is the best player, and then number 2 is probably Debo from a skill player position, and it's Trent Williams if you want to go with everyone. But Purdy's doing the job, and not only is he doing it, he's actually doing it well enough for them to win the Super Bowl. That's always been the issue with San Francisco is, yeah, you can have someone to drive the bus, but can they go drive a NASCAR? And that's what he's doing right now.
Correct. And the thing that I like about Purdy, because I don't think the talent difference between him and Garoppolo is really that different. The difference is Garoppolo was going to turn the ball over and you knew it, where Purdy is not. And that's where the difference comes in.
And there's a second part to it. I really do think this, because I think he really thinks this. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo ever thought he was the guy. Purdy swears he's Patrick Mahomes. And that irrational confidence has been great for him.
I like it.
And I'm not going to hate on him. You know, so many people have irrational confidence, and some of them deserve it. Michael Jordan had irrational confidence, but guess what? He deserved it. So Purdy just keeps earning it, and until he looks like a pumpkin, I'm going to say he's doing the job, and he does deserve the MVP, especially if they beat the Ravens.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, Purdy, again, I've been all over Purdy all year, and I'm still going to say I'm never backing off of if he has real game pressure, can he win? Because we've never seen it. But, again, you can't blame the guy because his team puts him in good positions where he doesn't have to play from behind. I mean, what are you going to do? You just can't blame Brock Purdy for that. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Next thing, Tua. I think Tua took a huge step forward in this MVP race. I don't think he can get there, but I think he took a huge step forward, not only in the MVP race, but in his development, because the last 2 years, everybody has said the same thing. If Tyreek Hill's not there, they can't move the football, and he looks horrible. Well, he didn't look horrible on Sunday, and he looked awful good, and Tyreek didn't play. Tell me what your thoughts were about Tua on how he played on Sunday.
So I got a chance to rewatch that game because I didn't get to see it on Sunday. The really funny part is the install was exactly the same with a different name.
Yes.
They utilized Waddle like Tyreek Hill and hit back foot, throw ball accurately. Guess what's going to happen? Guys are going to get the ball and they're going to score. Another contributing factor was the Jets decided to go home after showing up.
I was going to say, yeah, they've cashed it in.
Yeah. So if he can do it against the Cowboys, and I'm not saying one of those got to stack games, but I'm just saying I want to see Tua not just look for Tyreek in this upcoming game if he's back and fully healthy. I want Tua to do what he was doing in this game. Hit back foot, hit guy, make move, get loose, okay? That number 3, hitting him. Whatever he needed to do, he did in this game, and I'm proud of him for doing that because it has been a cloud that's hung over his head is you can only do it with Tyreek because Tyreek makes the offense.
Right.
Tua's a damn good quarterback. And just because he's not Mahomes or a quote-unquote game changer does not mean that he's not a great quarterback in this league.
Right. Nope, I totally understand. Totally understand. I like Tua. I like what he did. I like what he went out and proved. I thought it was great. So good for him. Good for him. Let's flip over to Lamar Jackson. People keep saying that Lamar Jackson is in the MVP hunt, and I just don't believe so based on what he's done this year. But I will say this, CJ, and you tell me what you think. If the Ravens go to San Francisco and win on Christmas and he plays well, that might be enough to vault him to the top of the MVP race. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's been the situation that's played out in sports, period, but especially this year. Look, after every big game where it's a quarterback versus quarterback matchup, the winning quarterback has gotten a jolt up. I mean, Brock Purdy's been great this year,
right?
But it was after they beat the Eagles. Oh, he outplayed Jalen Hurts. The same thing will happen if Lamar Jackson outplays Brock Purdy and they win that game, he vaults up. And there's still that dark horse who I took him 16-1 odds because I think they want him to win the MVP. If the Bills went out, Josh Allen could still jump up and end up being the MVP of the league, no matter what people want to say, because there are people who want Josh Allen to have an MVP, and I'm not mad if they end up giving him the MVP if they went out with all the stuff they've lost this year.
That's very true. Very true. It's tough for me to give Josh Allen the MVP, which, again, especially after this Cowboys game, he had 7 completed passes, but he didn't have to do anything. Yeah. I mean, he literally didn't have to. I mean, they just lined up and ran the ball down the Cowboys' throat, but that's a different conversation for a different day. So, couple of quick questions here we got a guy, my man Golf Hawk, I'll bring it up here on the screen. He was asking about Michael Pratt from Tulane. Is he legit? First round pick, a later round steal, or is he just hype?
I'm not going to go with hype. I don't like hype as a thing unless you're overgrading someone. First round is not where a guy like Michael Pratt should go. Michael Pratt is a quintessential fourth round quarterback, maybe late third, and can be developed into a guy because he does have physical tools. He's a physically gifted guy who does make good throws. He's just not a guy that plays well outside of structure, in my opinion. And that's what I think people are going to start to look for. Do you have that secondary portion of your game where if things break down, can you really do it? That's just not his thing at this stage, in my opinion. So I think if he goes in that range, early day 3, late day 2, that's perfectly fine for him. And if he goes to a team that can work with him, a team that I think could work really well for him is actually the Rams, taking one and letting Stafford do his thing for another year, Pratt keep learning on the job, and then maybe he could step into that role kind of like Kirk Cousins ended up doing early in his career.
Yep, I like that. I like it. Like I said, Pratt, I think he's good. First round, absolutely not. You're wasting a pick, whoever would take him in the first round versus building your team because he's not ready to play right now. But I do like him in the later rounds. Maybe late day 3, not day 3, but late day 2, early to mid day 3, somewhere in that range. So here's a question. And it keeps popping up, and I know we've talked about it before. The Atlanta Falcons cannot figure out their quarterback position. I think me and you were both on Ritter. They should have done something versus saying Ritter was going to be our guy. And Ritter is not the guy. Ritter is a backup quarterback at best in the National Football League at this point. He's just not the guy. So they're making another change. I think it's cost them the division because I don't think they're going to win the division now. But tell me what you think about that. It's not necessarily a quarterback-related position, but I know this goes against because I know you're a Saints guy. I don't think the Saints can win it. I just don't. Derek Carr, I don't. But let me just change the question on you. Of those 3 teams, who do you think comes out of the NFC South?
If we're going by the team with the best quarterback in the division, and people who follow me know how I feel about this guy, but I got to give him his flowers this year. Baker Mayfield has played the best football at quarterback in the NFC South, and it's not particularly close.
Not even close. That's right.
And what he just did this past weekend, you got to give him credit. A perfect passer rating. He was getting the ball into tight windows, doing what he used to do at Oklahoma. Really, really classic Baker Mayfield collegiate performance on Sunday. So it's them. Obviously, it's a coin toss on whoever wins on New Year's Eve ends up winning the division. I still feel like the Saints will win it and frustrate me as a Saints fan because, what's going to end up happening? If that happens, the Bucs may have enough ammo to make a decision to move up and slide in and get a guy like Jaden Daniels. One of those 2 NFC South teams could really use him. He's excellent at throwing the deep ball, and that's what Dave Canales wants to do with his offense. And then he obviously fits into what Arthur Smith wants to do with a mobile quarterback, even though we'll see if Artie's even there next year in Atlanta anyway. So I'm going with the best quarterback is probably going to win it with the Bucs, but I would not be shocked at all and somewhat disappointed that the Saints end up pulling this off with Derek Carr.
Right. Well, what I've heard, just through the grapevine and stuff, people have talked about, well, the Saints don't want to win because they want to take Jaden Daniels because he's from LSU. And I'm like, hold on a second. When do the Saints have a problem selling tickets? When do the Saints have a problem selling merchandise? They don't need to draft a guy from LSU to sell out the Superdome. The Saints are going to do that anyway. I go, so they don't need that. They just need a competent quarterback to come so they can win. It ain't about selling tickets for the Saints. They're going to sell tickets. They're going to sell merchandise. They don't need the LSU guy. Am I off base or what?
So I would love for that to happen. In fact, hey, I'm not a person who believes in losing games on purpose at all. I do not believe in tanking. The closest you can come to it is if it's the second half of the last game, and if you end up losing that game, you get the number 1 overall pick. Maybe you do it then. But other than that, I don't believe in it. I'd love to get Jaden Daniels, but here's the thing. Does anyone know the last time the Saints took a quarterback in the first round?
I can't even think. I don't even know. What was it? Archie Manning?
62 years ago. Archie Manning, 1971. The Saints don't draft quarterbacks in the first round. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. They're not doing it. Secondly, they're invested in Derek Carr. That organization operates in a different manner than most. So it's not happening. I'd love for it to happen, but it's not happening. What's more likely to happen? Unfortunately, the Falcons are more likely to end up 6-10 on the actually 7-10 or 6-11 on the year, and end up with enough draft capital to do what they should have done by taking Justin Fields back in the day,
Correct.
taking an upgrade in a guy like Jaden Daniels, and frustrating Saints fans for the next decade and a half.
Right. Yeah. I think that is probably the more likely scenario, unfortunately, for Saints fans. Because I'm still trying to figure out Derek Carr. I mean, Jameis Winston can't be worse than him. It's impossible for me to believe that he is. And at some point, why wouldn't you roll him out? Especially when Derek Carr was beat to hell and they still rolled him out there. And I'm just like, man, they must think that Jameis Winston is horrendous.
I will say from the limited knowledge that I have that that's not the case. It's more of a hubris play from what I've gotten from folks. They can't admit that they might have gotten it wrong on Carr. And if Jameis does go out there and look even 90% of what Carr's looked, if you look at what they're paying him versus what they're paying Carr, they'll just justify that they made a poor choice. So they can't let Jameis actually start games unless they're forced to.
I gotcha. It's crazy to think that, but I totally understand what you're talking about. I get it. Let's flip the script here real quick before I get you out of here, CJ. Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. Now, Chicago's not going to get the number one pick. Well, I take that back. They are, because Carolina. If Carolina better not win any more games, hopefully Chicago's hoping that they don't win any more games. So they're going to get the number one pick. Are they going to keep Justin Fields? The rumor, or one of the rumors out there, is that now people are saying that the Bears are going to keep Fields, draft Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1, and then take a tackle wherever the Bears end up picking, taking an offensive lineman, and then fill their roster with all that back money, all the cap space that they had, and fill their roster on defense and become competitive right now. But I think they're also going to end up getting a new head coach. So is that something that you see the Bears doing? Because on second thought, I thought, they need to trade Fields. I don't think they need to trade him. I think if they get a new coach and they do that, I think the Bears are really good.
So it's one of those situations where if you don't fix the problem, it doesn't matter what the given solution is. So is Caleb Williams probably an upgrade at quarterback to Justin Fields? There's a good possibility he is, but it's not a guarantee. Here's what is a guarantee. You have gift in the hand. You have the number 1 overall pick. You do not take a receiver who I have as my number 2 receiver on the board behind Malik Neighbors with the number 1 overall pick when there is a quote-unquote generational quarterback out there. I think they'd be smarter to, if they really are linked to Marvin Harrison Jr., trade down to number 2 with New England, guaranteeing New England gets Caleb Williams, and they guarantee they get Marvin Harrison Jr., and they may get a couple of extra picks.
Right.
Or you can get a super haul from a team like Washington, go down to 4, end up getting their next year and the following year first-round pick.
Or Atlanta.
If you got Atlanta's pick, you'd also be getting capital, including someone who could possibly actually change your fortune.
Absolutely.
Same draft as Justin Fields.
Absolutely.
Maybe you include Kyle Pitts in there.
Yep.
And now you have Kyle Pitts playing de facto receiver on the other side from DJ Moore, with Kmet operating as the true tight end. Listen, use that to actually build your team. Use the San Francisco 49ers model. Teams that want to be successful, trade away quality value, build that roster, get some more pass rushers. They can end up with 4 or 5 first-round picks off of what is one that's not even theirs from good old Caleb Williams. So you definitely don't take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, although I could see the Bears doing that because they're the Bears.
Yeah. I mean, the Bears want to mess this up. They want to mess it up. They're almost in a position where they can't, but they want to mess it up. I feel so bad for Bears fans, man. I really do. They deserve better.
Great
they
fan
deserve
base.
Better.
Great fan base.
It is.
And they're not getting what they deserve.
No, they are absolutely not getting what they deserve, man. It's sad, but I want them to get this right. But you are right. If it depending on how the Falcons end up this season, because I feel like that the Falcons are going to say, Arthur Blank is going to say, we have to have a quarterback no matter what. We have to draft one, and we need to draft one high. And he's going to demand that they trade up to get one of those guys. And somebody just needs to take advantage of them. They just need to take advantage of them. You want this pick? Come on up here and get it. But we need everything, and we want it all.
I need your next 3. I need this year, the next 2 years, first-round picks. I need the next 2 years, second-round pick. I also need Kyle Pitts, and I may need Grady Jarrett as well.
Yes. They just take advantage of them and see what you can do. Because technically, if we're looking at it, if the Falcons just had competent quarterback play, not great, just competent quarterback play, they win this division right now. They're ahead of this division by 2 games, at least. Just competent quarterback play. But instead, they got what they got, and here we are. So, and I think Arthur Blank will go into the offseason thinking we're just a quarterback away, and we got to do this in order to make the playoffs. Is going to satisfy the fans, because the fans are calling for it. So we got to do all of this to make this happen, but they're going to give up their future to do it, and it's dicey. It's just dicey. So, yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for again taking the time, brother. We love having you come on here and break all this stuff down with us, man. As always, tell everybody where they can find you, CJ.
Sure. So the Chopping It Up with CJ podcast is getting back into the swing of it after a bit of a hiatus. You can find that on anywhere you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Pod. Again, that's Chopping It Up with CJ. Several episodes per week. If you're in the New York City area, again, I'm doing until the end of the regular season fantasy football analysis for Pix 11, the CW affiliate up there, working with football game plans still. And in general, I have some other stuff coming down the pipeline that I just don't want to announce yet because I haven't gotten it solidified, but feeling good about what is on the table coming up for this 2024 season.
Gotcha, man. I appreciate it. Well, thanks for taking the time, man. We will see you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me, Big B.
All right. Thank you. That was our guy, CJ, man. He comes in every Tuesday when he can. He's a busy guy. So he comes in every Tuesday. I appreciate y'all sticking around. Again, as I mentioned before, Big B Daily Show. It's Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Central Time. We are live on TikTok. We are killing it with the likes today, TikTok. Thank you, guys. And live on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to YouTube, do me a favor, man. Tell one of your friends. Better yet, tell 3 of your friends. Everybody that's in here on YouTube, tell 3 people to come join the live stream or to come watch the live stream after the fact. Just tell 3 people. Tell them they'll have a good time. Tell them to have a good time. I've thought about all this, man, and I'm thinking goons sounds better than hooligans, people. I'm thinking the name of Big B and the Goons sounds better than Big B and the Hooligans. I don't know. I'm going to have you guys help me decide. But I think Big B and the Goons sounds better than Big B and the Hooligans. I just do. Goon sounds better. Yes, see? But then somebody says, this is tough. This is tough. It's going to be tough. And we're going to find out. We're going to find out soon. Goons or hooligans? Big B and the Hooligans, Big B and the Goons. We are going to find out. I did want to come back and come back to my man, Steve. We were talking about something earlier. I hate to change the subject real quick, but I want to come back. My man, Steve Ritchie, who comes into the live as much as he can, and I appreciate it, my man. He made a point talking about college sports. And he said you can't break up college basketball and their divisions and rivalries because of football. I don't disagree. I think they have levied all of this college basketball stuff. It's all based on football and it's all based on money. And they're leaving out what rivalries. I mean, you're going to have the main rivalry. You know, UCLA is always going to play USC. You know, Alabama's always going to play Auburn. Oklahoma's always going to play Texas. Louisville's always going to play Kentucky. But the other rivalries are going away. Like UCLA and Arizona is a big rivalry. That's going away. You know, that's going away. You know, hell, Oregon and Oregon State. You would think they would always play each other. Going away. So I think we got to be able to come back with something and fix all of this, because money can't just be the deciding factor in everything. At some point, something's got to make sense. So something's got to make sense. And we got to make sense. And we are making make sense type of live stream on the Big B Daily Show. So that's what we got to do. I appreciate it. We're going to shut this one down for today, man. I appreciate it. So the Cowboys are road frauds. Road away. If you get beat like that, we're not going to label you as road fraud. We're just going to say the Cowboys are a fraud. That's it. Cowboys were the fraud of the week, in case anybody missed it. The Eagles are completely falling apart. We don't know how they get it back. They got to get back to physical football. The Lakers should be embarrassed by putting up a banner as far as the in-season tournament. Great basketball. It was great, compelling basketball. I give them credit. I give the whole NBA credit for that. But to put up a banner to celebrate it is shameful. You should be ashamed of yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, bring a big bowl of cash and put it out there, drop it on the floor, and let the players grab cash. Give them a big check. Either way, a banner is ridiculous, man. Jerry Buss, Kobe Bryant, God rest their souls, rolling over in their graves seeing that. So, all right, people. Thank you guys for joining the Big B Daily Show, man. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming. We will see you again tomorrow. Same time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Like I said, if you're on TikTok, tell 3 of your friends. Come join the show, man. If you're on YouTube, tell 3 of your friends and have them tell 3 friends. Come on and join the live stream, man. I appreciate it, and we will holler at you guys, man. See y'all tomorrow. Aloha.